Michael, I'm so happy that we get to talk and chat today about Empatico because I know that blog post that you wrote was fantastic, and this is an opportunity to really highlight and encourage some teachers about why they should get behind bringing Empatico into their classrooms and into their district. So thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about Empatico. I know it's just a tool that I discovered this year, kind of one of those that I wish I would have discovered sooner, but it's new and it's been going great for us.
Okay, so for anybody that's watching this, I mean, what makes this tool different?
What makes it different for me is it's like a one-stop shop. I can go in, I can register my classroom and set my available times of when I'm available to collaborate with, and then I can also pick projects that fit my classroom needs. I know there's a project Ways We Play, Weather Out the Window, Community Cartographers, and there's a fourth one, and we didn't do it, so I'm blanking out on that one, but of course I don't have it up in front of me right now, but let me flip over here.
You know, I love the fact that for Empatico, it's empathy is at the foundation. It's at the core. And it's connected to the KIND Foundation, which, with the KIND bars, and I love that because for Drezek kids, that hashtag we love to use is be that kind. And then we replace the word be that kind of kid, be that kind of classroom, be that kind of teacher. But this is just for grades 1 through 5.
Yep.
And that opportunity to really have that foundation around empathy to build upon.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that I've come to find through any global collaboration through EdTech is that the empathy piece is just like skyrockets because the kids just get so curious about connecting with another classroom that the conversations really go down that path. I can even think to the time when we were doing a mystery Skype, and one of the girls on the other end of the computer said to one of the students in our class, "I really like your glasses." And it was just something like that was so unplanned, and those are the types of experiences that come about through the video connection. So I know with Empatico, we've developed a nice bond and relationship with our partner class in Kansas. So they're at Prairie Creek Elementary School, and Miss Shenda Seibel is their teacher, and we are doing it at A.J. Schmidt Elementary School in Lakeshore Central with Mrs. Lori Wonder, and it's been really a fantastic connection. And it's funny because when we start, you never know really what to expect. We get the email from Empatico, congratulations, you've been matched, and you log in, and there's a nice chat portal where we can kind of say hello, and we can see when our times align in the calendar. We quickly send them an invite to connect, and we basically just did a kind of introduction in the beginning. It was just like, getting to know each other's class for the first connection, and then we kind of left it at that after the first one, which was really nice because then it got the kids really interested. And then we pulled in the academic piece on community cartographers, and they were studying mapping in social studies. So it was really nice for them to then dig in, knowing that they were going to be able, that there was another step in their work. It wasn't just work for their own classroom. They would be doing some research and some learning, and then would get to connect with another group of kids somewhere else in the world that wasn't in their school. And for many of them, it was probably their first time ever doing something like that. So I hope that they're only in 5th grade, that as they go through middle school and high school, that they'll just have more experiences like this, be it through Empatico if the age range expand, or another type of global education or collaboration tool.
So for any teachers that have not tried this, what's that message about the ease of, because especially at this time of year, teacher, one more thing, so how would you talk to teachers about this?
The fact that earlier I think I mentioned it being a one-stop shop is that you can go and you make your account, and it's all in one portal, one platform. Your teacher chat, your video connection. You don't have to download anything. It works right through the browser. So you're a click away from connecting or sending a message or downloading resources out. So I believe I've heard the phrase used before for something amazingly simple and simply amazing. I mean, I would use that for this tool as well. It's amazingly simple, and I think that's where its power is. I, as a tech integrator, brought it to a teacher who may not have otherwise discovered it, but it's something that I could have said, hey, I could walk away from it and say, you're good to go now. I mean, here's Empatico, and they're ready to run with it. They don't really need me there like they would with certain other tools that require a lot of more in-depth tech knowledge, it's not that. So the teachers can just feel comfortable focusing on the conversations, the questions, and the learning, and not the tech. The tech's in the background.
Oh, that's awesome. How about that, like the teacher that says, "Oh, but it's just that one more thing." What is it that about the content in particular, about their mission, that it's not just one more thing?
No, I mean it's a natural fit. So the content is something that they were studying in school anyway. So it was just made it that much more powerful, the fact that there was a real face and that human connection piece. So you could look at it as one more thing, and I could see that. I'm bringing you the name Empatico. Here it is. Here's one more thing for you to do. But I really do believe that it's just like a natural fit. I mean, and they have everything standards aligned, and the documentation is right there in the FAQs. But really, I mean, if you look at the 4 pillars or skills that they want the kids to get out of it, it's perspective taking, respectful communication, critical thinking, and cooperation. And those are 4 things that I think are important to the building your own classroom community, and then the students obviously as not just digital citizens but citizens in general. So. The thing is it hasn't been like a huge time investment where where we have to chunk out like these huge chunks of time for Empatico. The teachers can really fit it naturally into their schedule. We would set a date to have an exchange with our partner teachers that would be like 2 weeks or 3 weeks down the line. So that gave the teacher a nice, comfortable window to work in the time that they would spend doing their Empatico activity, during their week or during their daily schedule, and then it didn't feel like it was, there was like a super fast turnaround.
Okay, you just mentioned those 4 pillars, and you mentioned digital citizen, like in digital citizenship, right? And I feel like this really is such a natural bridge into embedding, and rather than, talking at kids, we're talking with kids. And this is the perfect platform to embed what it means to be a digital citizen. And so instead of talking about it, the students get an opportunity to actually do it, put it into action.
Absolutely. And I think, like the perspective taking, what is it like for you, the curiosities. And I really think that, for example, when we got into the second project, I call it a project, but it's really an activity, a connection, collaboration. But we were doing weather out the window, and it was snowing really heavy on that day in Buffalo. So we had the computer, and we kind of aimed the webcam out, and they were able to see the snow. And then the conversation turned towards the tornadoes in Kansas, which was something that our students had zero experience with. So all of a sudden we learned about their tornado drills and their past history in their towns, and how a tornado back in the 80s had completely wiped out a lot of the town, and how they had to rebuild, and how it even impacted their school and their community, their parents and their families. So our students now started to look at the world a little bit differently because they were able to look at it through the lens of their partner class. Like, wow, that's something that we don't even have to deal with. And maybe a shovel in the driveway isn't so bad. And the critical thinking piece. When we were doing the community cartographers, I know I'm just bringing in that example, and really these 4 pillars are integrated perfectly into all of their projects. But getting the students to work on their mapping skills and to communicate. They had to describe the location, what the surrounding areas around their school. So they actually got outside, walked around their school, looked at their environment, and I love the idea of getting outside the classroom and actually going out there and making all your notes and then bringing it on. I have a copy of it here. You can see that there's just this blank map here, and this is what it started with. And you got the north, south, east, west, and their school in the middle. And so what our kids had to do was, when they went out, here's an example of one from Nicole. So she put this together for AJ Schmidt, and some of the kids really got in depth with this. But then on the Empatico call, they would essentially had to verbalize and communicate what they drew on paper to their partner school. And the kids from Prairie Creek were trying to, based on using their effective communication on their directionals and what they were describing, had to draw our community, and then we would exchange to see how accurate we were. So they had to work on their listening and their communicating and making sure that they were really being detailed. And I know, here, we learned a lot about them. You could see, here's one that I think I have one. Here's a nice one from Prairie School Elementary, where we learned about, they had a water park near their school and a YMCA, and we learned that our schools were actually shaped the exact same. So we found, how we were alike and how we were different, and it was.
I love that right there. How we're alike and how we're different is that's it. That's the lesson right there. brings you right back to humanity.
Yeah, and then I know like cooperation was one of the pillars, and working together to achieve a common goal. And one of the things that kind of spun out of this was that from our original introduction conversation was this class had a kindness project, and in our school there's a kindness wall. Recommend the kind kid and why, and they're pinned all over the wall. So it was neat. It's like, okay, well, you guys are doing something around kindness. We're doing something around kindness. They had a project that they were starting, so their students had invited us to become part of their kindness project, which this isn't even part of Empatico. This just kind of blossomed out of the conversation, and they went to the children's hospital and put these care packages together, and we're doing things. So our school was going to do the same thing in this area, and we had this really great exchange on Twitter. It's in the blog post, and you can see the students, like, just that common theme of spreading kindness in their community. And how they kind of bonded over that shared experience was really powerful. And then we got a voicemail from the Roswell Park Cancer Institute, and we had played it back for the kids, and we had played it for our partner class. So it was just really neat to see, for them to hear that their actions of them working together towards a common goal was making a difference in the real world for someone.
And that's really it. It's about communities and that human connection. And I just have this visual listening to that about skipping stones.
Yeah.
Skip a stone, it's got a ripple effect. And exactly what you just described, look at the positive ripple effect that just had in two separate communities. You were doing it individually, but collectively, and making such an impact. So,
yeah, and I mean, I guess that's the beauty of Empatico, in that, you have a connection. They facilitate it for you. You don't have to go out and search the Twitter to find somebody, or Google Plus, or wherever. They're going to find you the match for you based on your common availability. And then from there, you can kind of just focus on making deeper connections and in your classroom. So, and whatever that looks like, I just love and the resources on their page. The printables that they have there, they make it really so easy with the lesson plans, and everything is really laid out nicely for you to use it as is, or to kind of twist it, customize it, and make it your own a little bit. So,
well, it's fantastic, and they just got that big award. Fast Company 2018, where was it? Ideas Award.
World-changing ideas. Yeah, I mean,
these ideas start in the classroom. They start with students, and then they kind of spread exactly what you were just talking about.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fitting award name, because it really is changing the world if you think about it. Like, if maybe it's a kid that just never even really thought about meeting a kid from another school. I mean, I know technology makes that possible, but for our students to actually live it now through school, to have a virtual pen pal, if you want to call it that, through Empatico, it's just, I don't know, it's special. It's definitely could be world changing, especially if you have like these projects like the Kindness Project that starts out of it, or the Ways We Play is one of the projects, and the Weather Out the Window, just thinking about their own communities. And
if Curran were on this call, he's always said he's in the 5th grade now. Why is everybody waiting so late to have these conversations? Like when you talk about, involving students in, digital citizenship, technology, social media use. When he did that TEDx, it was like everybody was a high school student or adult. And really, this is perfect, because this is the foundation for digital citizenship for grades 1 through 5.
Yeah, I think about
foundation, we just get to build on it.
I think 1st grade. I mean, my son is starting kindergarten next year. I mean, how awesome would it be? I hope that this is something that he has the opportunity to do at his school. If not, I'll bring it up to his teachers at parent night and say, hey, look, I mean, he'll be in kindergarten next year, but 1st grade, why not start early with them getting to, like Curran says, learn about the world with the world. I mean, this is that.
This is fantastic. So, any last minute things if teachers wanted to give this a try? I mean, I can say, if you're going to try, we'd love for you to go to that menu drop down, connect to the Digital Citizenship Institute. We'd love to highlight what you're doing in your classroom, but, Michael, you've been doing this in your district, so anybody that, is listening to this, last minute thoughts from you.
Yeah, so one of the things that I really like to do when I'm looking at an ed tech tool is if I can use it to not only enhance the learning, but if the students can use it for good. So I've seen, I know Empatico has the hashtag Spark Empathy, which is something that I think that is important to do in the classroom, whether you're using technology or not. And also, use tech for good, DigCit for good, but the common theme being for good. And I see, Empatico being from the Kind Foundation, I think that their mission is really about bringing good to the world. And I think that's, it goes hand in hand with the award that they were just given. But I think really as a teacher, how can you find a tool that the kids can use for good? And I think in this way to connect with other people and take the learning to new heights, I guess, through collaborating and communicating and in their case, perspective taking and critical thinking and, effective communication. It's all there. So that's, I guess, my final thoughts on Empatico is, and when I hear their mission and I've used it firsthand, I couldn't imagine, I guess, not using it next year. It's going to be, you have these different toolbox, you have a toolbox full of different resources. This is definitely going to be one of my go-tos, and I hope that instead of just using it in one classroom in our school district, we'll go out and more people will kind of catch on. And you said like skipping stones, that ripple effect. I think the word will spread because it is all for good.
Yeah, we're really excited. So in 2 weeks we get to go to Dublin for Digit Summit Ireland, and we're bringing in Empatico, and so very excited to get some teachers in Ireland connected as one of those matches. So
yeah.
I think it'll be a critical piece as we continue to do these summits and go to different communities, because this is really what it's about. Local, global, and digital communities working together to really have this impact, this global impact.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Michael, thank you so much. First of all, thank you for writing that beautiful blog post, for always being so willing to model, to be, you're just a great example, and your school district is just a great example of your willingness to really want to provide these opportunities for students in just not only your classrooms and in your schools and your district, but in others as well. So from the bottom of my heart, just thanks for being you.
Thank you. Yeah, this is great. Thank you so much for having me on, and thank you for all the work that you do and Curran does and Digit Kids and the Digit Institute. I know it's an area that I'm constantly learning more about and finding ways to, like you said, model it and bring it back to our students and our community to make it a better place. So thank you.
All right, terrific. Perfect. We'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Thank you.